everybody. This is Daniel, and this is episode 28 of the Engineering Success Podcast. How you doing? It is Monday, November 14th. I think it's been just about 2 weeks since the last episode, so here we are trying to get on a more regular upload schedule. You're welcome, everybody. You're welcome. Let's get to the shout outs. Thank you everybody that has supported the podcast. We are up over 500 followers on Twitter right now. Our engagement is off the charts on Twitter. We're using a scheduling tool called Simplified that I'm using to pre-schedule a bunch of posts on social media. So if you've noticed that more and more stuff has been going up on social media lately, that is why I've been kind of hitting the grinds done really hard on trying to get the podcast spread out and have as many people as possible be able to listen to it. So you're welcome for that. But yeah, we're really exciting stuff going on with the podcast for sure. So make sure that you listen to it in whatever format you want to, whether it be on any of your preferred audio providers. Give me a 5-star review there. Or if you like the YouTube snippets, then all power to you. Keep on watching there. Every single bit of engagement that you guys can provide is just really appreciated. So thank you guys so much for that. Also, big shout out to our monthly supporter, John Ott, our the one and only John Ott. Thank you for continuing to support the podcast. For $10 a month, you can join John Ott in supporting me, and in exchange, I will give you a shout out. That can be a shout out for a name, a phrase, an emoji, a business name. I mean, anything you want. Very affordable advertising, guys. At the beginning of every single episode of the podcast, $10 a month gets you that, and $5 a month gets you a shout out for the first episode of every single month. Make sure to follow on all the social media, and yeah, that's the intro. Life's good. We're enjoying New Orleans. Shout out to our friends here in New Orleans again, and yeah, a lot of things to be happy about in life. Got some life updates that I can share in the next month or so, but a lot of good things. So, all right. Let's go into our recurring bit, LinkedIn lunatics. This one is captioned, "Let me intrude on your privacy during the interview to show how much of a control freak I am." All right, here we go. Ken on organization. Looks like he's international because he spells organization with an S. Yes. Enjoying life in sunny Bangkok. All right. I was interviewing someone some weeks back and I asked him, question, "Are you organized? Because I am an organization fanatic." And the guy was like, "Yeah, I think I am." To which I responded, "Okay, turn on screen share and show me your Gmail account." When he showed me he had like 200 plus unread emails, a bunch of unread chats, etc., and he was confused as to why I had asked for this, I thanked him for his time and ended the call. He didn't cut it. Why? My simple rule of I don't hire anyone to work for me that doesn't keep their email inbox clean. If I can maintain zero inbox across several clients and my own startup, 5 different Gmail accounts, then the person working for me needs to be able to do it for one single Gmail account, or they just won't survive my work style. LOL. And then he has a nice little picture. Cool, Ken. All right, so I currently have, I think I have uh, 20 different Gmail accounts, and my main one, I'll check it right now. People think I'm a little bit insane. I have, ooh, my mail app has, I don't know if you can see that, 70,000 unread emails. My Outlook has 527 unread emails, and my Gmail app shows 26,544 unread emails. I'm pretty organized, but I just have a couple junk email accounts that I don't check. I have much more important things to do than maintain empty email boxes. So, I mean, kudos to Ken. I mean, people think I'm a little bit crazy and they're like, "How can you look at 70,000 notifications?" And I don't know. I'm kind of used to it. Um, but yeah, I mean, my work email inbox is cleared. Yeah, my work email inbox is cleared. But my personal emails, no. And Come on, dude. You're gonna have the guy open up his personal email accounts to do that? That's kind of weird, man. That's kind of weird. And yeah, I think it's a little bit of a intrusion on this person's privacy. Let's see what everybody else had to say about it. Bullet dodged. Imagine being micromanaged in the interview. Red flag, red flag, red flag. Dude, seriously, I mean, I wouldn't have shared and just have been like, no thanks, you freak. Who knows if the candidate actually shared it because people never lie or exaggerate on this platform. Never. Yeah, I don't even know if this story actually happened. Maybe Ken is just humble bragging about his ability to maintain an inbox. Maybe Ken's looking for a new job and wants to advertise how organized he is. Mm. They just won't survive my work style, and that's a good thing. Yeah, yeah, this is I'd give him a 7 out of 10 on this bad boy. I would I would not be excited about that. So, shout out Ken for your ability to maintain your inbox, but not for me. And just for any hiring managers that are wondering, I wouldn't recommend asking somebody to look at your look at show you their personal messages. That just seems like a massive invasion of privacy. I would have definitely said no in this hypothetical situation. Okay, next one. So this guy, so I don't know if any of you guys have heard of a website called twitter.com. I use twitter.com for advertising my podcast. I talked earlier about how I have over 500 followers. Yeah, trying to become an influencer out here. I, we're growing the podcast, right? A little bit. And Twitter is a great website, but Twitter's also been in the news recently because I don't know if any of you live under a rock, but Twitter was recently acquired by Elon Musk, and there's a lot of layoffs going on right now, and it's super spicy. If you haven't been following the drama, if you're not up to date on all the tea related to Elon Musk's acquisition of Twitter, we've seen some back and forth between him and lead engineers. We've seen inside conversations from engineers get leaked. We've seen people get laid off across the board, him making people go into the office. Crazy, crazy, crazy times here with Twitter. So, anyways, this individual decided that he would post about it on his LinkedIn, which fair. Let's see what we have to say. So we feel for the people of Twitter. So this guy is I've heard of that company. All right, I'll Conquering King. Let me just get past that. All right, I feel for the people of Twitter. Layoffs are always hard, both for those laid off and those remaining. But when they're the result of a conquering king coming in, it's even harder. Conquering kings are rarely known for their compassion. Nice. So, and then they have this lovely picture of Elon Musk as a conquering king. So I feel a little bit weird about the people that fanboy super hard about Elon Musk. I mean, yeah, he's very wealthy. His businesses are very successful, but I there's a saying in life where you sit on, somebody's cheering because they are on third base, or I don't know. Anyways, I have mixed feelings about Elon Musk and who he is. He's very controversial for sure, but this obsession that people have with him and posting, let me just zoom in on this bad boy. I mean, look at that. I mean, why are you posting that on your LinkedIn, man? Why? Stay. I don't understand. People that there's a phrase that people use. Um, People just they're obsessed with Elon Musk, and I don't get the obsession with that. What is a conquering king? So, who is the conquering king? The conquering king, according to ligonier.org, is Jesus. Um, it's a maybe it's a biblical reference, or maybe it's just a reference to medieval times. But these people, they truly do worship Elon Musk. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't think that there's any individual person in the world that I could get that obsessed with, and that it's like it becomes like a major part of my social media presence on my professional platform. Also, like, what kind of message does that send to your employees? Like that, is that what you aspire to? Like, are you like a cutthroat conquering king yourself? Is that what you aspire to? That, if you're going to be a conquering king, then sometimes you're just going to have to lay people off, and they're going to have to deal with it. Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that guy's a CTO at his company, so it's obviously pretty high up there, and I just don't understand why you would want to send that message out as somebody that's high up in your organization. I don't understand that. Um, I just I don't understand it. So I'll give him a 5 out of 10. But no, again, no malice to these people, but I just don't understand the upset. Like I see that level of trolling um in Twitter and on Reddit, and like the people that like love the Teslas and have like SE or thanks Elon and all that crap on their back license plates of their cars and stuff. But man, taking it to LinkedIn, I mean, so LinkedIn is not Facebook. LinkedIn is not the back license plate of your car. So, anyways, that's something else. Um, in the comments, how much do you think that so Elon bought Twitter for like 40 billion? So, how much do you think that Twitter is gonna be worth when it's all said and done for Elon? I don't know. I don't know. Probably not 40 billion, but is it gonna be bigger or less? The world will never know. All right, well that's LinkedIn lunatics. So we'll take a little bit of a breather here, and then we will come back. And we're back. Well, hopefully you got an ad there. Thank you to Anchor for making all of our ads possible. Now we're gonna go into a question that I thought was pretty cool. So I watched my analytics for the podcast, and one of the most popular videos on YouTube. So the most popular segment that we run, and this is kind of how I see what segments are doing good. This is why we have recurring segments for LinkedIn Lunatics, because that stuff is performing well. Another thing that really performed well was what was the difference between an electrician and an electrical engineer. And this was a segment that I posted over a year ago, and it has become my most watched video on Facebook. So I said, all right, cool, let's do the difference between a mechanic and a mechanical engineer. So, ta-da! If you're watching in video format, you're going to see a lovely presentation that I dolled up on the difference between a mechanic and a mechanical engineer. What is the difference? Well, let's see. So, what is a mechanic? A mechanic is somebody that repairs or maintains machinery. So generally they have some kind of specialty like a car or like a heavy machinery like a tractor, track hose, but a mechanic is a person that repairs and maintains machinery. And then a mechanical engineer, well, mechanical engineering is a branch of engineering. So, but mechanical engineers themselves are the ones that are designing the mechanical systems or the products or the machines, or they're integrating mechanical things into a machine. So, mechanic, they're the ones that are physically working on it, and mechanical engineer is the one that does design. And maybe mechanical engineer will do a little bit of tinkering with it as well, but the mechanical engineer is the one that's doing design. Mechanic is the one that's working on it. So, what's the difference between the day to day life of a mechanic versus a mechanical engineer? Well, a mechanic is going to be building and repairing machines. So, they're going to be doing a lot of physical work. And their responsibility is to do it safely. So, their job is to do a high quality work at repairing or building something. and do it safely. And there's an organization called OSHA that regulates how they have to work safely. um, Mechanical engineer designs the machines. So they're specifying machines as part of a larger system. They're working in a team of other engineers that are maybe also working with mechanics and collaborating with the mechanics for input onto the design. But their responsibility is to make a safe design and meet all safety and regulatory requirements for what they're doing. So, what kind of work environment do they have? A mechanic's going to be working in a shop. So they're going to have heavy equipment that they're going to be working on, or an auto shop. So we're talking like a maybe an air conditioned building, maybe not. Or they're working out in the field. So if they're a millwright, which is just an industrial construction mechanic, they'll be doing welding and bolting equipment with hydraulic equipment and hydraulic tools. So, but on the converse, a mechanical engineer's work environment can vary a lot. Most of them work in an office setting, and some of them also will travel to the field, and some of them might even be able to work remotely, work from home. But they're working with office staff such as designers, drafters, salespeople, people that are managing the project, people that might be a product manager that follows a specific product through the life cycle of its design. They're working with safety and quality people, and they're working with, if they're working in construction, they're working with construction managers. And then some engineers become field engineers, and they actually can work out in a production site, in a production line, or in a construction field. So different variability in the different types of work environments that you can have as a mechanical engineer. What kind of education do you need? Well, for a mechanic, you generally require maybe like a high school diploma or a GED, but generally there is not a formal education requirement for a mechanic. Though there are, associates programs where you can get maybe an AAS, and I'm going to start speaking beyond my knowledge, but you can go to like an associate's program and kind of get the experience and get the background you need to go work on cars and then go get a job to be a mechanic. But life training and education that you have as a mechanic is generally employer specific. And so, for example, if you work for Audi, you might go through Audi's series of mechanic training programs to become an Audi master mechanic. And then if you wanted to transfer to another auto manufacturer in their in their mechanic shop, then you might need to do some proficiency and show them a resume and show them what kind of experience you have, and then they'll transfer you into wherever their appropriate level of experience they think that applies for you is. And then any licenses you need as a mechanic is generally a regional business license, for example, or an employer specific licensing, as we kind of talked about previously. For a mechanical engineer, it's a lot more formal. So that you're talking like a 4-year degree program. Some people get a master's, some people even get a PhD. A license you can get as a mechanical engineer is your professional engineering license. It's 2 exams. You take your fundamentals of engineering, and then your, I don't remember what the second one. I should know what the second one's called. I think it's just it's called the Principles and Practice of Engineering PE exam. So your fundamentals of engineering and your principles and practice of engineering, and then you have to have a certain number of years of experience in the U.S. depending on your state. In Texas, is 4 years, and then you can get licensed as a professional engineer, which gives you your engineer stamp, where you can stamp drawings. In the US, you want to go to a program that's ABET accredited, and licensing organizations for mechanical engineers is the NCEES, which is who you get your professional engineering license through. You take your professional engineering licensure exams through, and then another professional organization that a mechanical engineer might be familiar with is the American Society of Mechanical Engineers if you're in the US. So, very different types of education requirements. What kind of skills? I'd say that the skills are actually pretty similar. Both instances, you need to have good problem solving skills. You need to be able to communicate and work in teams. But the mechanic, you got to have some physical skills. You got to be able to handle a tool, and you have to be disciplined. You got to show up for your hours. You got to show up on time, leave on time. You got to manage your physical hours. For a mechanical engineer, again, problem solving, you might have to work in some digital softwares. You might have to have an additional level of computer technical efficiency. You'll have to have a lot of general understanding of engineering concepts that you might have learned in school. understanding of regulatory requirements and knowing how to navigate that process. And also you have to have a staying power. So mechanic, you for the most part you go in, you work on a project for a day, and you put it down, you go back home, and then you come back and then you work on it. As a mechanical engineer, you might have that project that lingers maybe months, years, and you have to have that staying power to work towards a longer term solution. And sometimes your work mentally just gets taken home with you a little bit more than maybe if you were working as a mechanic. Though I imagine if I was a mechanic struggling with solving a problem, it would weigh on my mind whenever I went home from work too. But that's what kind of skills you need. And then lastly, let's talk money. So all of this is the money doesn't really mean anything to me because it really just depends on where you are. It really cost of living area even more is even more important if you're as a mechanical engineer than as a mechanic. But obviously your experience level and the type of work you're doing, the industry that you're working in, any other kind of incentives that you have are going to influence how much money you make. As a mechanic, you're generally going to be working hourly and you can work shop hours. So, for example, if you have a piece of some shops work this way where, especially with large automotive companies, where there's certain amount of hours assigned to certain tasks. And if you beat that time, you still get paid for the number of hours that associated with that task. So if you can work faster, then you get paid more. You can make more money. You can make $50, 50 hours on 40 hours of work. You also can make more money by working longer hours. If you're an hourly employee, you can get time and a half for overtime, depending on how your contract is set up. For mechanical engineers, most mechanical engineers are salaried employees, so they have a higher salary than the average earnings of a mechanic generally. But that with that salaried employment comes less opportunities for overtime, more flexibility in the number of hours you can work, positive or negative, of your typical 40 hours a week. Your hours generally are though more stable and your income is more stable, but you do have opportunities to earn a little bit more money via sometimes a bonus structure, uh, stock options, that kind of thing. And then generally you're not making overtime as a salaried employee. But yeah, that's the difference between a high level summary of the difference between a mechanic and a mechanical engineer. And unfortunately, I tried to line up one of my good mechanic friends to bring him onto the podcast to kind of talk through this. Unfortunately, he was not available. But maybe give me a comment down below if you want to hear a mechanic reacts to a mechanical engineer's opinion on the difference between a mechanic and a mechanical engineer. Let me know, and I'll bring them on. But that's the difference between a mechanic and a mechanical engineer. All right, let's get into it. All right, next question. So when do we get to enjoy the college experience? I'm genuinely curious as to what point in my college education I'm supposed to look around and be like, yeah, this is great. I hope it never ends. And this was posted in our engineering students. Um, that's a good question. I think that I spent most of my college experience hoping and waiting and being very excited about the opportunity to graduate because I was excited about the opportunity to spend less time working because I was constantly working around the clock as a college student, doing homework, studying for exams, in class. I mean, it was constant. I was constantly racking my brain. And also, I wanted to make money. And didn't want to be spending money. So I spent a lot of my college experience feeling that way. And it wasn't until I graduated where I realized, I really enjoyed living in a walkable community. I mean, there's something about being able to call all your friends and all your friends being in generally the same area as you. So what what I encourage you to do is that's just one example, but think about the things that you're not going to be able to do whenever you're no longer in college. You're not going to have all your friends in as close proximity to you as you have them now. You're not going to be able to hang out with people on a flip of a button as quickly as you are right now. You're yes, you might have a little bit more work-life balance as an adult, but you have longer breaks as a college student, though theoretically you should be trying to get an internship during those breaks anyways, but you do have um, longer breaks and once you're a professional, um, the stakes are just higher. Once you graduate from college, if you're a traditional college student that goes to college for 4 years right after high school and then goes and works professionally, I mean, it's a really special time in your life where you don't have as much responsibilities. I mean, you have responsibility to be a good student, and then whatever financial obligations that you have. Everybody's situation is unique, but the level of the stakes are lower. Your proximity to friends, the pressure to earn money, all of those things are just different in college than whenever you graduate. So what I encourage you to do is really cherish the moments that you get to spend with your friends. Um, yeah, you might live in the same city as some of your friends after you graduate, but I saw I saw a graph um, the other day that showed the amount of time that you'll spend in your lifetime with different people in your life. And they didn't have one for college students, but I mean, you are at the absolute peak amount of time that you're going to see your friends. The friends you have now as a college student, you are not going to, you will see them more times probably in the next year than you'll see them for the rest of your life. So cherish those moments. Go do things off campus. Go to a beach for a weekend. Go on that ski trip. Do those fun things and cherish those moments where you're just sitting in the same room as your friends and doing nothing. Maybe one of you's on your phone playing video games while somebody else is texting while there's a movie on Netflix and other people are playing on the PlayStation. Cherish those moments because that is part of the college experience that the it's just harder to get. I mean, now I'm in a position. I live in New Orleans. Most of my friends are in Texas, so whenever I see them, I'm either trying to squeeze as many different activities into one weekend as possible, and I'm exhausted, or I'm sitting there and enjoying the time with them and thinking, "Wow, I wish I could do this with them more often." So I think that's the biggest part of the college experience is the connections and the people that you meet in your college experience that you get to cherish for a lifetime. So that's my take on the college experience. I mean, it's just really what you make out of it with your friendships. All right. Next question. Barely coasting through my classes. Should I drop out of an engineering major? I'm currently a junior, starting my first year of upper division engineering at a top 20 school. I've taken 4 tests this quarter for a circuits class and a statics class, and I've scored below the average on all 4. 3 were within the first standard deviation, while the other was 25% below the average. I'm trying really hard and busting my butt, but I don't think I'm smart enough to compete with the kids at a school like this. Not sure what I should do. I like what I'm doing. I don't want to quit, but I feel like my grades might make that decision for me. You know, you're a junior, so you've passed most of the weed out classes already. And you say you're barely coasting through your classes, but here's the thing. You are coasting through your classes. And yeah, you're below average, but are you passing? So here's the thing. Once you've graduated and you've gotten your first job, you're just going to be another graduate from that university with XY experience you've accumulated since graduating. So if you're understanding the material enough, you're a junior. So you've made it this far. You've had your studies habits and your study skills that have gotten you this far and your quote unquote weed out classes, you've made it past that. And you're in your major, taking your major specific classes. So what has changed? I'm sure your study habits are generally the same, but maybe for example, your study group is changed because some people are in different major specific classes. Maybe you need to do an update on your study group. Maybe are you studying with groups of people? Uh, are you doing enough practice problems? I mean, you said you're within the first standard deviation and the other one was 25% below the average. I mean, we all have a rough exam season. Maybe you had other extenuating circumstances around the fact that you performed poorly, but I think that you just started taking elective classes. They're probably a little bit different in format than your regular fundamentals classes. So don't just pull the trigger at the first sign of problems and just flee. You definitely should at least push it out. And again, you made it to your junior year. You can make it 2 more years. You made it halfway through. There's no reason to drop out now. I think you're really going to regret. Sorry, my dog is freaking out for no reason back there, but you're really going to regret dropping your major halfway through because I mean, what are you going to reset and do next? So, all right. I don't know. Luca and Twyla are just so fun. So what happens is that they'll just be chilling, all right? And the Twyla will be just dead asleep, and then it'll and so what I think is happening is she's like napping and she's dreaming and she has a nightmare and then she like about like losing her toy underneath our couch or something. And then she'll just freak out. And and then they just take turns setting each other off. Twyla barks, then Luca barks and Twyla barks, and then it's just like 5 minutes of nonstop barking. So shout out to Twyla barking. Here, 1 second. Let me mute myself. Well, I'm sorry y'all had to hear that. All right. So, anyways, barely closing through my classes. Should I drop out of an engineering major? No. I think that if maybe you haven't had any adversity, as much adversity at this point, maybe the format of you said you went to top 20 schools, probably big schools. So a lot of your fundamentals classes were probably larger class environments. Maybe you're taking exams or submitting them digitally. They're multiple choice, and maybe you're just taking different styles of exams. But um, But yeah, I mean, look at what's changed and try to adjust. Go to office hours, talk to your professors, talk to your study groups, find people that are doing well on these exams and see what they're doing and see what they're doing that's different than you. Maybe they're studying for exams in a different manner than you. But yeah, there's no reason for you to jump shoot and jump ship and pull the parachute yet. You definitely are in a position where you can keep on going. And I see that your username is you Nero sighted. Don't be too nearsighted in this decision. You'll be very thankful that you stuck it through. So, right. Well, I'm gonna take a little bit of a break to calm my animal down. Just kidding. She's calmed down. All right. Next question, and this is the last question, and then we'll close out the pod. A quick little 30-minute episode, and then we'll close it out. Next question is how to handle this serious accusation from a coworker. Hi, everyone. This is the first time I'm facing something similar, and I'm upset, and my mind is going crazy. I have been hospitalized for serious appendicitis after a few days of working dinner. I had stomach trouble and diarrhea, and I had to go to the toilet very often. A new coworker of mine, still on probation and not very liked, told my close colleague that I was going to the toilet too often because I was doing cocaine. My colleague protected me and he insisted with the story. Note that he is a junior member and I am a senior in the team. Of course, I've never done it, and this accusation made me mad. Now, I don't know how many people he told this BS, but I'm very afraid about my reputation. What would you do in my shoes? Just face him one on one, talk with his direct manager, talk to HR. I would love to hear about your opinion and the pros and cons of any action I can make it. Whoa. All right, so let's get past the fact that they're on probation and they're not very well liked, but mm, yeah, so what I would do is it sounds like you don't share a manager. So what I do is I would go to my manager. I'd say, "Hey, just want to let you know so and so made this statement about me about me going to the bathroom often, and as you know, I've had to take a lot of sick leave recently because I had been hospitalized for appendicitis, and I don't want to go into the details of things like that, but as you may know, appendicitis. The outcome of that is you have to go to the bathroom a lot. So I've been doing that, and unfortunately, this new colleague has made this statement about me. And just say that to your manager, and then a good manager will then handle that for you. They'll talk to that person's manager, and they'll get it nipped in the bud. This is not something that you should have to deal with. Just let your manager know, hey, this is happening. This person's spreading this rumor about me, and then your manager should make this disappear. And if your manager doesn't make this disappear, I mean, this is just like, unless they were completely joking, which it sounds like they weren't, but if they were just like completely joking, say, hey man, don't appreciate you saying this about me. That's not the reality with me. I don't have to open up about my medical situation, but I have a medical situation that is causing me to go to the bathroom a bunch, and that's all you need to know. Leave me alone. Do not spread this about me. You don't realize how serious this is. I mean, they're a junior employee. Maybe they're joking. I don't know. But, just, that's another route that you can take. But I wouldn't be the one that goes straight to HR. Maybe just talk to your manager, let your manager deal with it. And if your manager is apathetic with it and you go into this person and just nipping, no, that doesn't work, then I would take it to HR. So, anyways, sounds like Twyla will not let me keep on recording this podcast. So I'm going to close out. But thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Engineering Success Podcast. I am your host, Daniel Dollinger. Make sure to like the podcast, give me good 5-star reviews online. And yeah, I really appreciate it. I will read out any positive 5-star review that you post on any of the websites as long as it's safe for work. Remember to give the support the podcast on all your social medias and share the podcast with any friends that you think might benefit from the podcast. Lastly, if you have a question of your own, write into engring.success@gmail.com and I will read out your question and respond to it on the podcast. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys in the next one.
I'm miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Now I'm not complaining, My thoughts get complicated, I cannot explain in layman's. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries, thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify, they put me on the station.